Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. This is Yunus Khan bringing some special lectures of biology course that will help you people more and more, inshallah. Today we are going to start the first chapter of 11th class. So taking a start from the first chapter, we are going to discuss this first chapter, and that is entitled as cell structure and functions. We must talk about the different kind of structures and functions of different kind of structures found within the cell. Means here we will discuss about the branch of biology which is called as cytology. So before going into the different kind of structures and functions description, we are going to know about the cell, its definition, its history, and its study. So coming towards the definition of the cell, cell may be defined as the basic structural and functional unit. The basic structural and functional unit of the body of living organisms. This is a building block of which the whole body of a living organism has been made. So therefore we say that it is the basic unit, the basic building block of the body of living organism. Now according to definition, if you see, we define it as the basic structural and functional unit of the body. So let us a little bit to explain this word structural unit and functional unit. What is meant by the structural unit and functional unit? The cell is called as structural unit of the body because whole of the body is made of different kinds, a lot of a huge number of cells which are arranged in a particular manner, and of which the whole body of an organism has been made. So whole of the structure of the cell of the body has been made of the cells, therefore it is called as structural unit. And why is it called as functional unit? There are two main parts which have to be explained here in this definition. One is structural, which I have told you that whole structure of the body has been made of the cells, and it is also called as functional unit of the body. Why? Because the functions being performed by different kind of parts or organs of the body, that function is basically performed by this unit, by this cell. For example, if we talk about the movement of different parts of the body, for example, we walk, we run, or we give movement to our hand. The hand is bent and that is straightened. So how this movement of the arm takes place? It is because of the movement, contraction and relaxation of the body muscles. So what happens to the muscles? Usually the muscles contract, because of which what happens? The arm bends down. Similarly, when these muscles, biceps muscles relax and the triceps muscles contract, what happens? The arm becomes straightened. So the function of movement is basically performed here by the muscles, and this function of the muscle is originally and basically performed by the cells which are present here in the muscles. So if we see at the different kind of functions which are performed by different parts of our body, we must found that there is a connection of these functions with the basic units, that is cells. So it is called a structural unit because whole of the structure of the body is made, or you can say structure of different parts of the body has been made of the cell. Similarly, it is called as functional unit because the function of the different parts of the body is performed basically by the cell. So therefore it is also called as functional unit of the body. So cell may be therefore may be defined as the basic structural and functional unit of the body. Cell is basically called as the structural and functional unit of the body. Now furthermore, if we talk about the study of the cell, so it may be defined as study of the cell may be defined as cytology, because cytology or cell biology is that branch of biology in which cell or different parts of the cell, different aspects of the cell are being studied. So before going into further explanation of the cell, we have to discuss the cytology or cell biology in a little detail. So cytology or this branch may also be called as cell biology. This may also be called as cell biology. So as far as the word cell biology or cytology is concerned, cell biology means biology of the cell, study of cells of the living organism. Bio means living organism, logos means study. Or you can say here cytology, cyto means cell, logos means study, study of cell. So in both the cases we can conclude that the definition of the cytology is branch of biology that deals with the study of the cell. So it may be defined as the branch of biology that deals with the study of different aspects of the cell, means study of structure of cell, study of shape of cell, study of function of different parts of the cell, different organelles present in the inside the cell. When these different organelles are brought under consideration, they are brought under study. So this study is then termed as cytology or the cell biology. So you can say that cytology or cell biology is the branch of biology that deals with the study of the cell. Before going into further discussion, we are going to talk a little bit about the history of the cell, after which we will be able to talk about the word cell theory. There is a theory which has been proposed by two scientists, one is botanist and the other one is zoologist, Schleiden and Schwann. So we will talk about the cell theory, but before that a little bit about the history of the cell. So I think it must be clear to you people that cell has been for the first time discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. This was further for the first time discovered by Robert Hooke in 1665. Major components of the cell, one of them is its nucleus. Furthermore, the nucleus of the cell has been discovered by Robert Brown in 1831 discovered nucleus inside the cell. And similarly different parts, then further chromosomes were discovered by Waldeyer in 1876, etc. So in this way similarly ribosomes were discovered by Palade and so on. So different parts of the cells were discovered by different scientists in different at different times. So after that we have to conclude a little bit all this history into a special topic which is called as cell theory. Cell theory is a special kind of theory. Cell theory, that is a special kind of theory which was proposed by two different scientists, biologists in the mid 19th century. One was Matthias Schleiden. In 1838, he was a botanist. Similarly, another one is Theodor Schwann. Theodor Schwann in 1839, he was a zoologist. So Matthias Schleiden, a botanist, German botanist, in 1838, and Theodor Schwann, a zoologist, in 1839. Separately, they came to the conclusion of a special kind of theory which was called as cell theory. According to both of them, all the cells, the Matthias Schleiden was studying the cells into plants and Theodor Schwann was studying cells into animals, and both concluded that cell is the basic unit of the body, first one. Secondly, that they talked that different kind of cells, organisms are composed of one or more cells, and similarly they told that the cells were arised from the pre-existing cells. So main features are salient features of the cell theory. Salient features of the cell theory are, there are three main salient features. The first one is all the living organisms are made of one or more cells. The first salient feature, that is, all the living organisms are made of one or more cells. Similarly, the second one, according to them, all the cells are arised from pre-existing cells. And the third salient feature of the cell theory is its definition, that is, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the body. Structural and functional unit of the body. So these are the three main points of the cell theory, according to which all of the living organisms are made of either one or more cells. All the cells are arise from their pre-existing cell. Means pre-existing cells means this is parental cell, for example. This parental cell during mitosis, this parental cell undergo division, as a result of which two daughter cells are formed. These are daughter cells. So these daughter cells have been arise from their pre-existing cells, mean the cell which is present before their origination. So we can say that these are arise from their pre-existing cell. Similarly, the third one, that is, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the body. So that has been discussed over here during the definition. All the living organisms are made of one or more cell. So because of number of cells, the organisms are of two kinds. One is unicellular organism. Those organisms which are made of one cell only, and another one, that is multicellular organism. Multi means many. So these are the organisms which are composed of many cells. They are made of many cells. So those who are made of many cells, they are called multicellular, and those who are made of a single cell, they are called as unicellular. So therefore we say that all the living organisms are made either of one cell or more than one cell. Either of one cell or more than one cells. So all the living organisms are composed of one or more cells. All the cells are arised from their pre-existing cells, and cell is the basic structural and functional unit of the body. These are the three main points of the cell theory. Other than that, we another point, which is the hereditary material. The hereditary characters are usually transferred from the parents to the offspring. This is another character of the cell theory, and similarly so on. But these are the main three salient features or main points of the cell theory, because according to which the cell can be explained. these main points help us to explain the cell as a basic unit of the body. So this is about the cell theory. Furthermore, we are going to discuss the different kind of techniques which are used in the study of the cell. So different kind of techniques will be studied over here, but before that, one thing which is very important to be discussed over here, that is microscopy. We have to talk about the microscopy. Microscopy is a technique through which we use microscope. We handle the microscope to study different kinds of small minute organisms which cannot be seen without microscope. So you can define the microscopy as the technique to use and handle the technique to use and handle the microscope. The technique to use and handle the microscope for the study of minute, tiny objects which cannot be seen without microscope. So that technique is called as microscopy. So microscopy, in simple terms, you can say microscopy is the use and handling of microscope. And furthermore, I think it must be clear to you people that microscope is a device which can be used to study different tiny and macroscopic structures. So if you want to define the microscope separately as well, so you can define it. Here the microscope will also be defined. Microscope. What is a microscope? Microscope is a device. It is a device that can be used to study microorganisms. And the word microorganism must be clear to you people. Those organisms which are very small, which cannot be seen with the naked eye, which can only be seen with the help of microscope, those are called as microorganisms. For example, bacteria, virus and small fungi, etc. So those microorganisms can only be seen with the help of a special kind of device, and that device is called as microscope. And the use and handling and utilization of the microscope is called microscopy. Now further, microscope is of two main kinds. There are two main kinds of microscope depending upon the kind of energy used during the utilization of the microscope. So if we talk about the kind of energy, on that basis we classify the microscope into two main categories, two main parts, two main kinds. Microscope is further of two kinds. One is called as light microscope, and the other one is electron microscope. These are two kinds of microscopes. They must be defined separately. You people must be aware of the kinds of microscope and definition of a microscope, because microscope is a very important device because of which we are able to study different kinds of minute and small microorganisms. So we must know about the use and handling of and parts of the microscope. Otherwise we will not be able to study the cell, we will not be able to study the microorganisms. So therefore I am going to discuss the microscope, its definition, its types first. After that we will go towards the techniques, and then we will discuss the structures and functions of the cell. Okay, so what is a light microscope? Talking about the light microscope is that kind of microscope which uses light as a source of energy. And similarly, electron microscope is that kind of microscope which uses electron beam, a beam of electrons as a source of energy. So here light microscope, here the source of energy is light. Therefore, it is called as light microscope. Usually we use this light microscope mostly in our laboratories in the schools and colleges. So the microscopes available in common schools and colleges, that is light microscope, because usually we use light as a source of energy in that kind of microscope. Secondly, electron microscope may be defined as that kind of microscope where the source of energy being used is a beam of electrons, So if the source of energy is a beam of electrons, then this is called as electron microscope, and electron microscope is the most advanced form as compared to the light microscope. It is very advanced form. Its magnification power, resolution power, that is very high as compared to the light microscope. Resolution power, magnification power, these are the topics related to the microscope or microscopy. We will discuss it in the next video, because if we want to discuss that in this topic, so the length of the video will be very extended. So before that, to include the resolution power and magnification power into next topic, we are going to talk about the kind of microscope. So microscope, one is light, the other one is electron. Light microscope use light as source of energy, electron microscope use electron beam as a source of energy. Further, the electron microscope is again of two kinds. One is called as transmission electron microscope. Transmission electron microscope, which is abbreviated as TEM, TEM, and this is a very high power electron microscope which is used to see very minute structures of the cells. Even cell is a microscopic structure. Inside the cell, different kind of structures are usually studied by the transmission electron microscope. The second type of the electron microscope, that is scanning electron microscope. So scanning electron microscope is abbreviated as SEM, S-E-M, scanning electron microscope. And scanning electron microscope is the kind of electron microscope with the help of which we are able to study the organism three-dimensionally. Three-dimensional study of the parts of the cell or structures found inside the cell, that is made possible only with the help of scanning electron microscope. So this is about the microscope and its types. Further, resolution power and magnification power of the microscope will be studied into next topic. Escaping from the increase in the length of the video, small short length videos, I think that is more fruitful, because some of the students commented that keep length of the video as short as possible. So this is enough, I think, for today. A small topic has been discussed, that is just about the introduction of the first chapter of 11th class. Next on different kind of topics in this syllabus will be discussed, inshallah. If you have any kind of question and suggestion, please give me those suggestions and ask me those questions in the comments. I will try my best to respond all those questions and suggestions, inshallah. So for next video, thank you. Allah Hafiz.